Day in Nashville. We are just outside of Bridgestone Arena where in, I don't know, 6 hours I think is when the puck will drop between the Oilers and the Predators, but it is, Rick, a beautiful day in Nashville.
This is gorgeous. You know what? We've been here, 3 days now?
Yeah.
We've had a little bit of rain, which cooled it off for a little bit.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's not a cloud in the sky. This has been fantastic. It's been a great trip so far.
We thought we were going to get stuck in a tornado for a little bit yesterday, but that did not end up happening. If you head over to our Instagram, there's a great video of you at Topgolf hitting the ball and then the lightning going behind it. It's unreal.
It was perfect timing.
Yeah. Our watch party earlier in the week was fantastic at the corner pub. It was packed, probably 60, 70 Oilers fans in the bar. The Oilers did not hold up their end of the bargain, though. That was not a fun hockey game at all. It reeked of a boring Minnesota kind of thing, which is funny because in the pregame show, we talked about how Minnesota wasn't boring anymore. But it was probably the Oilers who brought a little bit of the snooze to that game. It was not their best effort.
No, they didn't look good at all. There was no fluidity to the game. They couldn't make passes. It was just one of those games, It's not a big deal. I think you just kind of get over it, move on, and make sure you're ready for tonight.
Good teams have bad games is kind of what I chalk it up to, and they were fighting it. Like their chances in tight it didn't look like they were sharp in front of the net or anything like that, and there was some horrendous plays by a couple of their D-men. Like that Keith and Bouchard pairing really struggled.
They had a rough night. Keith, I don't really know what he was doing that one. But he's a veteran player, so you have bad games, he bounced back, and listen, we're close to the playoffs, so you're going to have a bad game every now and then. It's more important that you bounce back and have a good one the next one.
Yeah, and I think that's important as well. Like, you even think about a 7-game playoff series. You're more likely than not, even if you win the series, you're going to lose 2 or 3 games. You're going to have a rough one in there, so their ability to bounce back, it is something that the Jay Woodcroft Oilers have done pretty well, actually, avoiding sort of losing streaks and having things go to that 3-4 game run. They're now lost 2 in a row. They got the point against Colorado. They got some help on the out-of-town scoreboard yesterday, which dropped their magic number to 11 as well. And it's funny because honestly, the help on the out-of-town scoreboard at this point is almost just as valuable as winning the games yourself. It's weird.
It definitely is. We're counting down the points for and the points that the other teams are losing. So you know what? It is what it is. That was a big help last night by LA, kind of giving up one. Guys got to get it done tonight. We got, I think, Vegas plays tonight too.
Yeah, Vegas is an
so that we'll be watching on the ice and the scoreboard. We can make a big jump today if things go our way.
Yeah, just looking at the out-of-town scoreboard now, Vegas is in Calgary tonight. That is a tough game for them. It's a tough game for the Oilers tonight in Nashville. This is a Predators team that, has been pretty good all season, and I kind of look at them as, in a weird way, the reverse Oilers, where their goaltending is outstanding. UC Saros is a star. This guy is going to win a Vezina Trophy over the next couple of years. Nashville's blue line, rock solid with guys like Ekholm and Yossi and some of the younger pieces as well that they have in the mix. Their forward group maybe leaves you wanting a little bit more, but they're okay. Kind of the reverse of the Oilers. This is going to be a challenge for them tonight.
They've always been like that, if you think about it, though. They've always had great goaltending, big defense, and the offense has kind of been a little scarce for the most part. Kind of why maybe they haven't had a cup already. Yeah. They had a couple good teams out there that they had some scorers. They could have gone deep. Yeah. But hey, no, this is a perfect opportunity for the boys to come out and kind of run around for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, you could go down the list of centermen that the Predators brought in because they can't draft one on their own, and they just haven't found that guy. You think back to when they gave Mike Fisher a big ticket out of Ottawa. When they made the big move, they brought in Kyle Turris, gave him the big deal before they bought him out. They tried for, it felt like a decade to get Matt Duchene in Nashville. They finally get him there, and he's kind of slowed down a little bit. I'm watching as some nation folk kind of cruise in here. It's a good vibe outside of Nashville. Let's go back to the last game one more time here. The lone bright spot, we're both rocking the Leon 50T, which you can get at nationgear.ca. Yeah. Leon scores again. Are you willing to... Is the Rocket Richard race over, I guess, is my question. When you look at the fact Matthews is 7 up on him, like, if we get a Draisaitl hat trick today, maybe you say it's still going, but I think it might be over, hey?
It's not quite over, but it's pretty much over. But like I said the last time, I'm pretty certain his whole goal now is to get Connor to 50. He's been there, he's done it. He'll get to whatever, 55, 56 this year, but I think they want to get Connor there.
I am standing by my prediction that we are going to get a McDavid hat trick before the end of this season. Hopefully it's tonight. It would be great if it was tonight, and he can help end the nation vacation curse, because they never win when we go on these trips.
It's been a rough go. We've got 2 wins in like 10, 12 trips maybe.
Yeah, it's not great.
Not great.
Let's get into the opposition report. It's brought to you by Yegburger. I said it on the last show. The worst part about being in Nashville is that there is no Yegburger. Very unfortunate. The Nashville Predators 5-4-1 in their last 10 games. They're coming off a win as well. It was a 1-0 win over the San Jose Sharks, and I'm just flipping through their game log here. 1-0 win, 3-2 loss, 4-1 loss, 3-2 win. Low scoring hockey. That is what the Nashville Predators do well. But when they do get offense, it also comes from their defense. Like Roman Yossi's having a borderline historic year. Like, this is, to put it in Oilers perspective, this is Paul Coffey stuff that he's doing right now. Yeah,
it's crazy, man. You don't really see this stuff anymore. I don't know how long it's actually been, but he's doing things that a defenseman hasn't done in probably a decade, 2 decades.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It's unreal. Like, he is on pace to potentially get to the 100-point mark. I think he's on pace for 98.5 or something like that. If he were to get to 100, he'd be the first defenseman in, I think, 30 years to reach that mark. It's crazy. And then you look at even their player stats on the year. Like, Josi, he should probably be more involved in the Hart Trophy conversation than he is. When you look at the fact this guy leads their team with 87 points. Second on the team, 75, Matt Duchene, who we just touched on a little bit, hasn't worked out exactly as well as Nashville would have maybe hoped. But him at 38 goals, coming off a year where he had like 9 in the 56-game season, we joked about it, and the forward group is not the identity of this Predators team. But with, Philip Forsberg, Matt Duchene, Ryan Johansson, even when he does get going, they can bite you. They got a little bit of bite.
They do. They can beat you. They're more of a regular season team, right?
Yeah.
And that, you know what? They can come out and do it. But I still don't think they have what it takes to kind of go toe-to-toe with the Oilers tonight.
And I love that optimism. We were optimistic before the game against Minnesota. It bit us in the behind a little bit. But I do think this Oilers team has always responded really, really well from rough games under Jay Woodcroft. And I think tonight, maybe the nice weather in Nashville, we had the country music on our walk over here from the hotel. Maybe it's just putting me in a good mood, and I want to be optimistic. Because the Predators, again, solid team. They've been fairly consistent all season. They're in a wild card spot. They're playing hungry as well, right? Like, Minnesota was playing for home ice advantage, and you want to be playing your best hockey down the stretch. This is a Nashville team tonight, though, that I'm expecting to bring a certain amount of desperation. And what I'll be looking for from the Oilers is, can you match it? This is going to be a playoff-like hockey game inside Bridgestone Arena in a few hours. I want to see the Oilers bring it with a little bit of energy and tempo, play this like a playoff game.
They need to come out and play their style of game. Nashville's a good team, but it doesn't really matter. Come out, play your style of game, and I think we'll be okay. They far too often played to the opposition. It's frustrating. It's less under Woodcroft, which is a little bit of a positive, but yeah, man, it's just one of those games. It's one of those nights. They did not look good against Minnesota. They need to bounce back, and I fully expect them to.
Wipe it from the memory. Pretend that game against Minnesota did not happen. Let's get into our lineup report here, brought to you by Yegburger. Let's start with the Edmonton Oilers, where the blender really came out. Jesse Puljujarvi, he was on that top line for a period. I thought they actually had a good period. And then Puljujarvi's down on the second line. Yamo's down on the fourth line. They really jumbled things up. Haven't seen anything from the skate today. We do know Mike Smith is starting. What would you run with? What's your top 6 tonight for Jay Woodcroft?
I go back to how we started the last game. I don't know. I know they took Yamo and put him with McLeod. I think just to kind of get McLeod a winger that can go with them. And I guess it just happened to be they had to move Cassian up to Connor's line. I really didn't understand that. But I go back to that top 9 we talked about last time. I roll those 3 lines, and then you got to just try and figure out that fourth.
Yeah, you do. I'd be really tempted, and again, I've harped on this for a while now. I would be very tempted to go back to Puljujarvi on the third line with Nugent Hopkins and Foegele. And I just think there's a little bit of potential, or move Brassard up even. I mean, Fogel's playing good recently.
Who takes Puljujarvi's spot then on the first? Derek Ryan at this point, unless you want to go McLeod up and Derek Ryan to the fourth.
I think I would play McLeod up with Draisaitl. I'd have Hyman on the right side. Let us know in the comments, by the way. Feel free to start a discussion on this. What do you want the Oilers top six to look like? I'd flip Hyman to the right side, have McLeod with Draisaitl. I think you got good results there. And then that would leave McDavid, Kane, Yamo as your top line. I know they bumped Yamamoto down. I didn't have like a huge problem with Yamamoto's game, so I have no problem putting him up on the first line. I think trying to go, especially again, a team like Nashville, maybe not loaded with superstars up front, but they're deep. A guy like Tanner Jeannot's on their third line. He's, you know, a sneaky Calder Trophy nominee. He won't win it, obviously, but he could be in the mix for it. Like, they're a deep team, so I would want the Oilers to match that depth or do as best as they can to match it.
Yeah, that's fair. And I don't think they dropped Yamo. I think they just placed him on that line to kind of get those combos going with McLeod there. It's but yeah, no. Today I go back to the top three lines.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't think there is anybody you can even bring in from a healthy scratch.
Yeah, like, I mean, Devin Shore has given, you know, mixed results at points this season. He's been good, up and down a little bit, but he's not a guy who I think you look at and go, and maybe it speaks to Devin Shore's game, but he's not going to be a source of energy or a spark for your lineup tonight, right? So I don't think there's much of a point in bringing him in.
No, I guess that's fair. But you know what, I do really like your idea of putting McLeod up on the first line, dropping Pugliari down to the third. You're not dropping him, you're just placing. You're trying to like
let him drive play. He's a play driver. Let him do it on the third line.
Yeah. So you know what, I like that idea. So if they're not going to go with my top nine, I like what you got going on here.
What do we think about the decision to go with Mike Smith? I mean, Mikko wasn't good against Minnesota, and that's not me slandering Mikko or whatever. Like, I still like him. I still think he is the 1A in this setup. But I think the recent track record of Mike Smith, it's a good call here to go back to Schmitty.
Yeah, I think you win, you play, you lose, the next guy's in. I think it's that simple.
I think, honestly, I think it could be that simple going into the playoffs as well. Like, I don't think this team is in a position where Jay Woodcroft will sit at his podium, power stance, and go, Mikko's our guy for the playoffs. I think it's truly going to be a competition up until they either win the Stanley Cup or they're bounced.
Yeah, no, 100%. It'll be interesting to see who gets the first start, but from there, you win, you keep playing, you lose, you're out.
Let's get into our betting report brought to you by our friends at PointsBet, where the Oilers, they are underdogs on the road, which is good news for us because I know a lot of people on this trip are going to be firing up the sportsbook and throwing some money on the Oilers. They're plus 105 on the money line. They're plus 150 in regulation, and if you flip the puck line around, it's paying out just north of plus 300, courtesy of our friends at PointsBet Canada. If you're in Ontario and you're watching this, download the PointsBet app and play along. Who you like to score tonight?
I'm going back to Connor. They're trying to get him 50. I would honestly look at Connor. If you're feeling it, maybe look at one plus goals.
Oh, 1+ goal for Connor McDavid. I'm pulling that up here. If you like McDavid to score and the Oilers to win, it pays plus 240 on PointsBet. McDavid to score 2+, plus 750. Pretty juicy. I might tell you on that. Kennedy's behind the camera today. Kennedy, who you like? Who you think scoring? It's so on brand for Kennedy to say Leon Draisaitl. I absolutely love it. Draisaitl to score first for the Oilers is plus 380. Draisaitl at an anytime score is plus 100. We got Bearded Brad, our boy Cam, Nation Dan, sales guy Jared all over there. Who's scoring tonight?
McDavid! Oh! Connor McDavid!
We got a couple McDavids. They're loving it.
I heard a Yamo in there.
Yeah. Was there a Yamo in there?
Yeah. There you go.
Bearded Brad says book it on the first goal of the game coming from Kyler Yamamoto. You love to see it. You also love to see this. Is there anything more Nashville than a man in cowboy boots and a cowboy hat? I have no idea who he is. Strutting in the background of our shot.
Sorry.
You absolutely love to see it. And the atmosphere outside Bridgestone Arena is unbelievable. The atmosphere inside Bridgestone Arena will be unreal.
We'll have a full-on cartwheel.
Really? In the cowboy boots?
Yeah.
Nashville's an absolute trip. This trip has been an absolute trip. We're having a blast out on the Nation vacation. You could not buy a cloud right now. And I think it's time to wrap this up and get on with our more Nashville activities, which might involve...
Find a beer?
Yeah, we might go find a beer. I know Bearded Brad packed a couple Nation beers, so I might try to mooch a couple off of him. But that's going to do it for the Short Board Giant pregame show. Shout out to our boy Liam handling the controls back in Edmonton as well. And shout out to everyone on the Nation vacation because we're going to make tonight's game an absolute vibe. And Rick, let's hope the Oilers hold up their end of the bargain.
Hey, buddy, I believe they will. Let's get this done.
We'll talk again later on in the week. Saturday, the Oilers play the Golden Knights. Until then, enjoy the game, Oilers fans. This has been another Short Board Giant pregame show.
Let's go, Oilers! Let's go,